Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest Chapter 178 is by far a fantastic chapter, because not only do we get the reveal of Viernes' actual human form, but we also got major revelations, future power-ups, and a current power-up for Natsu and Lucy, and my lord has this chapter given me a lot to think about, and I am excited to see how this arc is going to play out, because so much is happening, to the point I don't even know where to start with some of these discussions, but we'll just jump right into the chapter in a second. But before we do anything, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Also, if you want to see me talk about a whole bunch of other manga, go check out the Panel Focus YouTube channel to check out my manga podcast, Shonen Pulse, where me, Yatogami, and Nox talk about 9 separate manga on a weekly basis from 3 separate magazines. You might find a new favorite, you might see me talk about stuff that you're already reading. It's a lot of fun. We talk in depth about every single chapter that we talk about from each of these different series. So go check it out. And if you want to see me talk about stuff that isn't fairy tale or anime and manga, go check out my second channel, GW Comics, where I talk about American comic books. Right now I'm focusing mainly on Marvel and DC, but I'm going to expand on other stuff as well, and I'm also going to be doing reviews and breakdowns of new issues of some brand new comics that come out every month. So look forward to that. Now then, with that out of the way, let's jump right into the chapter. Chapter 178 of Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, titled The Key to a New Power. I am in love with this cover image. It is Kyria in a wedding dress. No notes. I want to marry her now. But simping aside, jumping on to the chapter, we continue from the last chapter where Ignia just flew past Natsu, ignoring him, feeling some sort of presence and power, to the point where he had to ignore Ferris and leave her to one of his other Fire and Flame members in order to check out what's going on. Natsu is incredibly confused and angry, saying, why did he ignore me? As Misfortune tells Natsu and Happy to head to Jamil like planned, and that she'll go after Ignia. Happy tries to tell her that it's way too dangerous for her to go alone, but Misfortune says she'll be fine. We were on the same side, and I think he'll at least hear me out a little bit. Which, I feel like Ignia isn't an entirely thick-headed person, since Misfortune is a part of his guild, and he does have a level of respect to at least hear people out on him. I feel like he would at least listen to Misfortune, so I'm curious to see where that's going to lead. But Natsu says, why do you get to decide that? I'm going to beat Ignia. But Misfortune tells him, I know that, but you can't beat him the way you are right now. Shocking Natsu, which it does kind of make sense. While Natsu is strong, it's pretty obvious he's most likely not at the level to at least give a really good fight to Ignia. That's then when Misfortune gives us our first taste of what could potentially happen with Natsu's next main power-up, telling Natsu that Bestia, the top-ranked member of Fire and Flame, has special flames. If you can eat those, it might awaken your power. The power to make a prison of flames that will burn everything up. Now this is insane, because first off, Misfortune says that Bestia, the character that got introduced to us the last chapter and teleported Ferris away, that Ignia is letting essentially keep Ferris busy for the time being, has special flames that if Natsu eats can make a prison of fire that can burn up everything. Which, it's implied that maybe this power boost will be enough for Natsu to actually beat Ignia, which makes me question how strong is Bestia as a whole, or is it just the effect of her flames given to Natsu to awaken his true power? Which I think Misfortune is going to talk about Natsu END. However, I'm not going to talk about this in this video, because I want to make an entirely separate video talking about this potential power-up. So look forward to that, because my lord, fairy tale discussions from recent events are going to come back. I really want to start doing these, especially with how this chapter gives us so much. But, back to the chapter. After Natsu is given this revelation by Misfortune, we cut to what seems to be an entirely different space, with what looks like trees made out of darkness sprouting from the ground, and the world looking upside down. Perhaps an entirely different space created by Bestia. As Ferris says, what interesting magic. I sense teleportation and space magic, and just a hint of dark magic, which showcases Ferris' entire ingenuity when it comes to magic, being able to literally suss out what Bestia's powers are at this instance. And the fact that she has dark magic is honestly interesting. Ferris didn't point out fire magic, so we gotta think about this. But I do think this is what she's referring to, the space that they're in right now, which is crazy. 3 different types of magic being used to create this space to hold Ferris for Bestia the fighter. Bestia then tells Ferris, as I told you, it wouldn't do to release great darkness in the real world, which, with a panel leaving off with Ferris, gets her intrigued. I'm curious to see what this is going to end up being, and how it's going to tie into her special flames that can create a prison that can burn everything up. But this fight is definitely going to be interesting to see, and we'll actually get to see how Ferris fights and what spells that she has access to and how she'll utilize her black magic and Acnologia's arm. Because one thing we wanted to see before her fight with Ignia, or at least in her fight with Ignia, is what she can do. And since we're putting the two biggest of bads so far outside of the last remaining dragon gods separated again, I'm curious to see what this is going to lead to. And we then get two pages essentially giving us brief glimpses of the other fights. Erza versus Wed. Erza re-equipped into another armor. I can't tell from this image which armor it is. It's very hard to tell in this instance. But either way, Erza's definitely having a hard time against Wed, as she is covered in wounds, and Wed is seemingly untouched. Midnight is still fighting Zero, definitely seeming to get under Zero's skin. Cobra is still hanging in there against Blade. Angel is getting dominated by Demon. Gates is seemingly bored from his fight with Merity, and Racer is still having a tough time with Bird, while Richard is just having a brief tussle with Gaia. We still have not seen their actual fight, which is, I feel like that's going to be an entirely separate chapter to see Gates and Gaia, what they can do. We then get another narration from Lucy. Interesting, because she says, as I was rejoicing over my reunion with Aquarius, fights were going on all over. As she explains the entire situation with Ignia and the Dragon Lacrima to Mercphobia. And it's then that Mercphobia then realizes that Dogmog probably made them. He and Ignia go way back, showcasing that, yeah, Mercphobia does have knowledge of Dogmog and knows his relationship to Ignia, which I feel like with how the last chapter ended off and the fact that Dogmog was mentioned now, I really want to see that the presence that Ignia sensed was Dogmog coming back using the power of the Dragon Lacrima. If it was able to revive the other dragon gods, I would love it if it was Dogmog and he was brought up to full strength. It was, even stronger than before. I would love that because, again, I made a whole separate video on the missed potential of Dogmog and how he went out. I did not like it. So if he comes back and he does more, I'll be happy. But Lucy says I have to go. There are other giant lacrimas left. But Mercphobia tells her to hold off, saying that she might not need this since she was reunited with Aquarius, but to take this, a key, a bizarre looking key, which Caramel instantly recognizes. As Mercphobia says, that's the key of the water dragon god, shocking Lucy, as Mercphobia proudly claims that it's a key to call him. In an awesome singular full page, we get to see Mercphobia standing proud with his dragon form behind him, as Lucy just completely flabbergasted overhearing this, as Caramel tells Mercphobia that he shouldn't, you hardly have any power left, but Mercphobia says, I have enough to fight for a little bit. And Lucy's just incredibly confused because she is a celestial spirit wizard. She can only call celestial spirits. But Mercphobia gives us an interesting piece of information as he says that wizards who have gates and keys to use their power are collectively known as summoners. As he says that Lucy possesses an extraordinary gift and that he's sure that she can summon a dragon. As Aquarius nudges her shoulder, says, look at that. Okay, so I'm gonna pause right here again because this is Lucy's biggest power up to date at this point, because she's given a key to not summon a celestial spirit, but to summon a literal dragon that is in the physical world. This confirms somewhat of a theory that people have had in the community for years, that Lucy was going to summon a dragon, or at least summon Natsu with her celestial spirit power. Now the fact that people that can summon others with like gates and keys and all that are collectively called summoners is great. This adds another category to Lucy and also adds another layer to, like, you know how from multiple people summoning those like 15 battle gods throughout Fairy Tail, which only happened I think like 3 times throughout the entire course of the series, if I'm counting correctly. 2 of the times was from Minerva, the other time was from the cult avatar. So that means that people that can summon those guys are also summoners. So, Lucy now has a key to summon Mercphobia. She can summon the water dragon god at her behest. She also has Aquarius. So we can have like a summoning unison raid for all we know. Now, I'm going to leave this for another video also because the possibilities are endless. But my lord, is this Lucy's biggest power up to date. It has opened up the floodgates for more potential things now that she's a summoner. So we'll get into that in an entirely different video that I'm going to plan out to hopefully get out next week 100% alongside Natsu's. But Don't hold me on that. I might space those out between the weeks. Either way, I want to talk about it more in detail, and I don't want this video to be like an hour long. But after being given this key and this massive revelation to showcase that she has way more power and talent to the point where she is just a generalized summoner is incredible for Lucy. But we move on to Gray absolutely doing nothing to Viernes as expected, as he keeps using his ice magic as it does literally nothing to him. And Gray is getting incredibly frustrated as he's trying to avoid every blow from Viernes, was just stomping at him like a bug. Gray then tries to launch an attack, but in an instance, Viernes seems to have completely disappeared, as he's wondering where he went. But then he looks up into the sky as he sees a silhouette. And then a 2-page spread. We see Viernes finally take his human form. And I like this. While this is not my favorite of the human form dragon gods, I think he's like my least favorite. Maybe above Mercphobia, because Ignia, Doggermog, and Selene are like the best designs in my opinion. This definitely fits the general golden pharaoh Egyptian aesthetic, which we all kind of figured would be the case. He's flying in the air, he still has his wings, and with the sun shining down on him, I do get some influences of the sun god Ra in this design. But Gray is essentially asking, can you talk? What happened to that lacrima? It's gone. Viernes, not giving any real shits about Gray, just looks down at him with just utter malice to an extent, as he says he wants to destroy a lacrima. But all Viernes does is motion his hands. In an instant, the tree that's in the ground gets uprooted, turned to gold, and is then telekinetically slammed towards Gray, as he barely manages to avoid the attack. As Gray looks up at Viernes, Viernes looking down at Gray like he's an insect, Gray says, I get it. Alchemy's cool, but I'm a pro at making stuff out of nothing, as that ends the chapter. So, yeah, that pretty good chapter. Massive revelations. We have the setup for Ferris and Bestia in an entirely different pocket dimension from what I can see. Viernes got his human form finally, which I've been waiting to see since that arc, but okay. Also, really nice that we got confirmation that Viernes still has access and knowledge to use alchemy from his time using the concept of Duke as his kind of separate identity to learn alchemy. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do with that. It'd be really interesting if Viernes is the reason that Ignia left and just figured, oh, Viernes is stronger than I thought now. Let me see what I could do with that. But I'm still hoping out that it's Doggermog or some other option that is a massive revelation or twist for Ignia. Everything with Natsu and Lucy's power-ups, Natsu being a future power-up and Lucy being a current power-up, is just insane. Everything going on with Lucy, I'm loving it right now. And I'm curious to see where this is going to lead in the future, because we got a lot of fights going on right now. We had another Lucy narration, which I'm curious, because there's definitely going to be some massive turning point in this arc before it ends to lead to another arc that'll be even bigger or lead to some massive shift in the story. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen right now. But overall, really great chapter. I had a lot of fun with it, and I cannot wait to talk about Natsu's power-up and Lucy's power-up in entirely separate videos. So look forward to those. I'm not going to disappoint you guys. I'm going to do a lot more of these discussions for the channel. But what do you guys think of this chapter? How do you feel about Natsu and Lucy's power-ups and potential power-ups? How do you feel about Viernes' human form? What do you think is going to happen with Gray right now? And what do you think is going to happen with the fight between Ferris and Bestia and all the other fights going on? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Now, with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.